Welcome back to Concord of Victory. We're joined by Marcus Cronan, who has 28 years of experience in advertising, global brand management, and AI implementation, working with brands like Skittles, Adidas, and Qatar Foundation. And we're really excited to have him with us. So, Marcus, can you tell us about yourself and your journey after Stowe?
Yeah, thank you, Alfie. Nice to meet you all, and thank you for having me this evening. Just to give you sort of a very brief elevator history about myself. So I left Stowe, had a great time at Stowe. I was captain of cross country and captain of athletics at Stowe. I was also, unfortunately, prefect of sanctions, so a lot of people ran behind me and did a lot of training early in the morning in the Armory Hill. And then I went over to university in the United States. I went to University of Vermont and graduated there with 2 degrees, political science and German language. Had a great time. And actually, ironically, in Vermont, there was a ski resort called Stowe, which is a quite small world. So it never seemed to have left me. And then afterwards, I moved to Los Angeles and started my career in the advertising world, working for a very famous agency that did sort of basically did brands like Adidas, did Apple, what else? Nissan, Taco Bell, Energizer, all these mega global brands. And I was very lucky to be there. And then I stayed in the advertising industry for about 28 years, working in different countries, such as Germany. I was in charge of the World Cup campaign for Adidas in 2006. I launched Etihad Airlines in Abu Dhabi. I then worked in Qatar, I worked in Korea, I've worked in London, and I've had a great career in advertising. And I decided to sort of stop going in the advertising agency world and work for a startup company that had the CTO was part of the Y Combinator, and the Y Combinator is an incubation lab based out of Silicon Valley, where the likes of Airbnb, Stripe, those sort of companies were started and came into big brands that they are now. And while I was working for the startup company, because we were part of the Y Combinator, we were sort of part of an alpha test team to test out a new tool called ChatGPT-2. And we tried to implement ChatGPT-2 into this platform that we were building. And it was amazing for the first 5 minutes before it started hallucinating and getting everything confused. But when you see something like that and you're amazed by that and you know this is the future, I then decided to dive right into the world of AI and went into the world of the Discord channels, which is a very techie online community, and basically found a community of AI enthusiasts where we all tested and played around with tools. And then I helped build out a private community of AI enthusiasts called the AI Advantage, which is led by a chap called Igor, who now has the second biggest AI news channel on YouTube. And basically, we play around with AI tools. We test a lot of all tools. We kind of also get access to the alpha, the very first levels of AI tools from companies, where we sort of play around with them. We break them apart, put them back together, and then we give it back to them and say, this is how you should build it. This is a use case for you. And then last year, I and my co-founder, Matthias, who's an AI engineer, we started a company here in the UK, as well as in Europe, to help organizations and companies train and implement AI tools into organizations. And basically last year was a lot of education within these organizations because people didn't know about AI. There was a lot of negativity in the press. And now this year, obviously, everyone wants to kind of engage with AI. They see the benefits of it all. And our company is called AI Tappers. And it's been an exciting journey, and we're only at the beginning of this new world with artificial intelligence. So I'm delighted to be here and talk more about AI and what it means and how we can implement it in terms of your careers, in terms of the future. So yeah, delighted to be here.
Yeah, thank you. I noticed that none of your degrees have anything to do with computer science. How did you take that leap between advertising to AI? That's quite a, dare I say, niche topic.
Well, it's the funny thing is that in the advertising world, I was involved with machine learning right from the get-go when social media platforms started. So those trainers that you were looking on online and was following you around on every single channel that you were there, even though you bought the trainers, is part of advertising, and that's called programmatic advertising, and that's all about learning behaviors, learning pattern behaviors of user behaviors, and how they interact with brands. So ironically, I have been involved with machine learning. I'm not a computer scientist as such, but certainly understanding the mechanics of these, of how the machine works and how it identifies triggers and people's behavior and things like that, certainly helped me understand how people use and work with technology. So you don't really, for the artificial intelligence world, it's not for techies, it's for everybody. The way I describe it, I mean, maybe, certainly my generation, you got to look at it as if it's like Luke Skywalker and C-3PO. C-3PO, Luke Skywalker got the edge to defeat Darth Vader with C-3PO. So you kind of look at it from both point of view. It's the sort of the merging between the human and the artificial intelligence. And it's quite and that's a very much a human trait, because you have to remember AI is trained on humanity, and humanity created AI. So it works in tandem. It's like a tool. It's like anything else that we've had in the past. So that's so one doesn't need to have computational skills as such. It is useful. Right now, I think one of the hottest languages to learn is Python. But you don't need to be a Python expert when you've got AI that can do the coding, but you have to have a fundamental understanding of how coding works. So if the AI gets it wrong, you can oversee it and you can correct it.
Sure. And you mentioned that you now work for AI Tappers. Do you think you could expand more on what your role is there?
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder, and I basically work with the senior leaders in organizations, where I sort of try and train it's just all gone dark. Did I lose you?
Yeah, just momentarily.
Yeah. So I work with the C-suite people, because since Google came out, we've got this sort of Google search mentality in our heads. You type in and you get a result. And AI is not like that at all. And having an AI mindset is completely different from Google. And the way that you interact with the AI is completely different how you interact with Google. So it's to really work. So my job is to work with the senior management and the stakeholders to understand how AI tools can benefit themselves within an organization, even personally, and how do we implement these AI tools to reach a specific task and a need that they need to have within their organizations. So I'm, as like an AI, I have about 20 AI assistants that I don't employ, but they are my workers. I have a CFO. I have a content developer, writer. I have somebody who does all my contracts. I have all these assistants that I've all custom built, who are AI assistants, who I interact with and that I work with on a daily basis. And that's something that I do with senior leaders, and sort of show them how to use these tools in a very easy, understandable way.
Sure. And how do you see AI transforming traditional industries that may not even think they have a need for AI?
I think if we got to take a little step backwards on that one, because we often think that AI as something as other, it's something that's different, and it isn't. It seems like people have this sort of association that AI is separate from humanity. But the reality is that AI is just an extension of us. It's just like languages. It's like tools and machines that have, shaped human history. AI is a product of human intelligence, and in many ways, it sort of reflects both our strengths and, to a lesser degree, our limitations. So it's, I think we got to take a step backwards in terms of what we understand what AI is. And yes, it won't. It doesn't have the five senses of humans. It cannot, it can see, it can read, but it can't touch, it can't move, it can't smell, It can describe a smell, but it can't have these human emotions in there. So it can be applied in multiple different ways. It's just about how people want to use it. It is a tool, but how do you use that tool to do your job properly or to do whatever tasks you have to do? And it just enhances it. So, the way I always see it is that, you as a human are always know what's going on. And if you sort of plug the AI specific for that task, you become even more of a superpower within that task. It's not to replace the human, it's to complement the human. It's meant to assist the human. And that is a big, that's a big mentality shift that people don't quite understand. And I was given another example that most people understand is that we all know that airplanes can take off, fly, and land by themselves. But do we ever get on a plane without a pilot?
Mm.
And if you look at it, that's similar to what AI is.
Yeah, that's a really, really interesting perspective. I know we've talked about your leap from advertising to AI, but what exactly inspired you to go from 28 years of brand management to AI?
Well, both of them. There's one thing that goes across both those. Well, in most industries, it's about creativity, and the way I have a philosophy is that for the AI world is that you have to use your creativity in order to use the creativity of the AI tools. And in the advertising world, we had to use creativity to make the complicated simple to sell a product. AI is no different to that. It's about using your creativity and the creativity of the AI tool to get an outcome that you want to achieve. And I think it's really fundamentally important that AI is looked as a collaborative partner rather than replacing me. And it's more helping with the creativity. It's more helping with the problem solving and the innovation thinking that goes on that I have, and it enhances my thinking. So it's very much similar to the advertising world. It's very similar about using your creativity to come up with innovative ideas, to figure out solutions and problems. So it's very much aligned in terms of using one's creativity.
Okay, and I believe you said earlier in your opening that you said about testing alphas of AIs. Could you expand more on that?
Yeah. So basically, what happens is that with all these new tools, you have to give them to people to see if the tool actually works. Otherwise, there's no point in building that tool. So, for instance, we have, and AI is a tool. That's basically it. And you can carve out specifically a tool within using artificial intelligence. So I can give you an example that I can't say the platform name, but it's a global platform that does a lot of presentations and develops content and everything else. But we work with this company to kind of say, well, humans don't want to type any longer. They want to have conversations. They want to talk to people. Similar to the analogy of Luke Skywalker and C-3PO. He doesn't type into C-3PO and say, tell me to do that. He talks to C-3PO. So we work with advanced voice models to kind of allow people to express themselves a lot easier and quicker using voice, and then commanding the AI tool, taking that voice input and then giving the output that is required, either visually or written or generatively or predictively. So it's really, so when we get these alpha tests, we get to sort of play around with them. We think about, okay, what's in it for me at the end of the day? Similar to what advertising, why would I want to buy that product? Why do I need to have this? How is this going to help my life? And that's what we do. We go in there and we break them apart. We think about, that's not really relevant for me. It could be relevant for somebody else. And that's what alpha testing is. It's making sure that the tool that you're going to use with artificial intelligence serves to your purpose and your needs and your requirements.
Sure. And you said about you've been testing advanced voice models, and with a brand that you can't say. Are there any upcoming AIs or just AI technology in general that you're excited for?
It's the whole thing is exciting. I can give you an example. So, especially in healthcare, it's changing everything. Everyone's going to have their own personal life coach. Everyone's going to have their own personal sort of AI doctor. It will interpret your blood samples. It will memorize all your blood samples. It will monitor your health. And I'll give you a personal example, which is well documented. I have a disease called Meniere's disease, and it's basically it's something inside my ear. So I get vertigo attacks. And when I was told I have this disease, one of the things I was told to do that I have to have a low salt diet. Now, I used to go to the supermarket and I used to go in there and spend like literally 5 minutes and I get my stuff and go out and shop. Now, when I was diagnosed, I was like, what am I going to buy that has little or no salt in there? And like every product, every package has got salt. How much salt am I allowed to have? So I used AI, and the disease is called Meniere's disease, and there's millions and millions of people have this disease. So I thought, I think AI can help me. So what I did was I created an assistant that helps me scan barcodes and shelves and tells me what has very or low salt, and then gives me recommendations of what I can make and what I can cook. I've called it Chef Meniere, and it's on the GPT store for anybody to use because I give it out for free. And it's literally, since I've started using Chef Meniere, I haven't had one single vertigo attack. Before I had lots of them. So in a very personal way, it's changed my life dramatically in a very, very positive impact. And AI will change so many people's lives positively once they start learning using the tool properly.
Wow, that is pretty incredible. Now, you mentioned about that almost everyone have life coaches and almost these personal doctors. How do you think? Well, everyone is quite worried, especially in the computer science space, that AI is going to take over their jobs. How do you think AI will reshape the job market and just industries in general?
I mean, I get this all the time. AI is not going to replace people. People who don't know how to use AI will be replaced by people who do know how to use AI. And that's just the way it is. I mean, AI is no different to you learning how to use Excel or PowerPoint. It's a tool that you need to learn. And if you don't know how to learn it, well, then obviously you're not going to be able to get the job. But if you know how to use it, you will still have the job. And most importantly, like every major technology in history has been a tool to extend human potential. AI is no different. The real question is, will we use AI to elevate human work, creativity, and well-being, or will we let it replace what makes us uniquely human? I think we won't let it replace us that make us uniquely human. We will use it to enhance ourselves, to innovate, to better ourselves. And I think it's just more of an education piece of people understanding how to use these tools and getting into the mindset and seeing how this can be helpful to them in multiple different ways. So in terms of, like, for instance, I think you're a mathematician and you're in computer coding, you're probably using GitHub Copilot right now in terms of your coding, but you're using it just to be, okay, it's doing my coding a lot quicker, but I still need to check the coding. I need to make sure that it's still right and it still fits. So you're not being replaced. You're actually being enhanced, because that means you've done one piece of code. You can move on to the next piece of code. What one piece of code drafting could have taken you an hour, can take you now 5 minutes. You could be doing 20 pieces of code within an hour.
Sure.
Creating new superpower.
George.
Yes.
Do you think that AI will increase the productivity of employees in the workforce?
Yes. Yes, it's a simple answer, yes. If they have the right tool in place to use that gives them the right outcome that they require. That's why we call them AI assistant. Not, they're not human replacement, they're assistants. They're just basically people that help you to get to your goal quicker. It doesn't do the job for you, and it should never do the job for you, because you cannot rely on the output that it puts out. You have to double check it, because it lies. The AI does lie. It can lie. It will do 70 to 80% of the work, but it needs that human element. And that's the same thing as the analogy with the airplane. The airplane can fly, can take off and fly and land, but it needs that human element to make sure it's on the right course, it's at the right altitude, there's no problems with the engines. It's not there it won't replace people. It will just enhance our productivity. It will make us more innovative. It will make us more. It will make us better. It will help poorer people. It will lift them out of poverty. It will create more innovative ideas. It will bring innovation more to market quicker, faster, and better. It's incredible. So I don't agree that it's going to replace us, and I don't think it's not going to do that. It will automate, and automation is different than AI. Automation, it will sort of do a lot of the heavy lifting, the mundane work, which is people don't want to do boring stuff, whether they rather be using their creativity to drive the business further forward. So yes, automation will take over a lot of tasks, but it won't do everything.
Yeah, I think that's quite reassuring as someone who wants to go into computer science. Now, as you are co-founder of AI Tappers, are there any exciting projects that are happening within your company that you'd want to share or are able to share?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of. I mean, it's super exciting. The thing is that it's a massive change in the way that business used to run and organizations used to run, and it's adapting it to the future. But I think what's the most exciting part is for me personally, is going back to what I originally said, is about getting people into the AI mindset. I think that is really fundamentally, if you don't get people into the AI mindset, you won't know how to use the AI tools properly, and organizations won't use it to their benefit and their advantage. And so what we did was that we created a framework based around our mantra of use your creativity to use the creativity of the AI tool. And we call it the CREATE framework. And what we mean by CREATE, it's the CREATE. And it is just a mindset. And I just kind of would like to share this with you guys, because I think it's quite relevant to not only students, but to your teachers, to the parents, and to old Stoics as well. So, when we look at the C word in CREATE, we talk about curiosity. And curiosity is sort of the gateway to innovation. If you can foster curiosity to explore the AI capabilities, it's not only as powerful as the people who ask the right questions, but it will also give you the answers that you would need. So it's the first step in understanding and leveraging AI. You've got to be curious about, what can it, I've had this thought, what can I add to it? Let me ask it a question. No, let me ask it even 4 questions. Be curious. I think that's really important in terms of exploring, AI's potential. And you will discover new ways how to integrate it into your own work or into your own problems that you're trying to solve. I think that is really very, very important, is to have that curious mindset, which is, for instance, I use an example when you're being curious. When artists, they have a sketchbook that they do their sketches in, all right? And they're exploring their curiosity in the sketchbook before they do the final canvas, before they do the final painting. So if you treat AI like a little sketchbook before you do your canvas, that gives you the curiosity in terms of what your output will be. So I think that's really, really quite important to kind of have that curious mentality. Then for the R part in the CREATE is the resourcefulness of AI. AI is sort of it's an amplifier of human ingenuity in a way. AI is just to help us enhance our problem solving capability and not just rely on it mindlessly. Not just say, oh well, it will solve the problem. It won't. It has to interact with the human to solve the problem. You should treat it like a thinking partner, and not a replacement for human intelligence at all. It's just a thinking partner. It's resourcefulness means knowing how and when to use the AI effectively, is what I'm trying to say here. And similar to your example there, when you're using GitHub Copilot, it will assist you in sort of debugging stuff, let's say. And you being a good developer, you would know how to tweak and improve the AI generated code in order to get to the optimal results. So it's using that resource within the AI. Yes.
Sorry, just on the fact that you can tweak different AIs. I know earlier you mentioned that you have multiple AI systems to help you in your day-to-day life. What difference is it than having, say, a specialized AI, say, or more of a blanket wireless one such as ChatGPT, Can AI be specialized like humans, or is it more of just one large system?
Okay. Okay. So just a bit of background. So what we call LLM models. So that's chat GPTs of the world. Okay. They've been trained off there's only one internet on the planet. There's only one internet, and the internet was created by human knowledge. So it's all trained on that human knowledge that sits on the internet. Now, the way to use the AI tool is when you say blanket, yes, if you type something, write me a story, it will just write you a story. The secret behind using AI is being as specific as possible about what outputs you want to get from the AI tool. So think about, the internet, the AI has this knowledge of this massive, massive circle, but I need to know specifically, for instance, coding, I need to know specifically about C++ coding. So you prompt it saying, I need you to be an expert in C++ coding. And here is my code, and I need you to go through the coding and optimize the code. If you say, here's my code, and I need you to evaluate it, well, it might pull in a Python code, it might not. You have to be very specific in terms of your instructions that you give it. And the more specific you provide the AI model, the better the output you will get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
No problems. Yeah.
I was just going to say, you seem to have quite a large technical knowledge about especially AI and stuff. And coming from brand management and advertising, what tools did you use to learn more about AI and really break into this kind of industry?
Well, you know what? It's learning by doing. And, part of the CREATE framework that we have, the very last letter is E, it's experimentation. You can do all this, engagement, you can do, curiosity, resourcefulness, engagement, adaptability, transformation, all of that you can do. But if you don't experiment, you don't know how these tools really work. And we always say, just experiment, just keep playing with it, just keep asking the questions, just say, and tell it off as well. Just say, no, you're bloody well wrong. This is not the right answer. Be angry at it. Tell it to work harder. Tell it to think slower. Use it like you would like a Einstein, like a human, basically. Tell it off. It's not, be as free and be as fluid as you want to be. Get angry at it. We always told people, in order to get a really stronger output, we would sort of type in prompts like, if you don't get this right, I will lose my job. And it'll be like, oh, no, I don't want you to lose your job. I will think harder about it. And then you get a better output. So if you look at it, if you try and use it in that sort of humanistic way, you'll be surprised by the results.
Sure. I believe we're running out of time. So as just a last question, what advice would you give to students that are interested in pursuing a career in AI or just tech in general?
Learn. Just continuously learn. I mean, that's the beauty of humanity, is our continuous desire just to learn and be inquisitive and, help humanity as a whole. The world is awash with lots of problems, and we need lots of problem solvers out there. And I think if you have that curious mindset and that exploratory mindset, and you want to experiment with stuff, just go full in, experiment, use AI as a platform to kind of test your abilities, think outside of the box. There is going into AI, there is no such industry as AI. Using AI as a tool to help you become a master of your own domain, that is how you use AI. If you want to build LLM models and be a researcher, well, then you use LLM models to be a researcher to build models. But if you want to be, a superpower in helping the poor and how do you help, how do you stop malaria, or how do you, stop climate control? Use AI tools to help you get more informed decisions so you can be innovative in terms of solving those problems.
Okay, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to listen to you and your experiences and, very unique experiences with AI and tech. Thank you so much.
No problems, and thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, feel free to just approach me at any time. I'm happy to talk to you guys.
All right.